Welcome back to Keen Plays. Today I'm back with Medieval Pong because after my last video I was trying to find out how to play it, trying to find like an English version of the rules, and there's like hardly any info on this game out there. Like I even went to the Ravensburger site, went to the French site. I couldn't find like anything. Like this game doesn't exist anymore for them, I guess. I'm pretty sure it was only released in French, so there is no English version of the rules out there at all. Any videos that I found are also in French, except for one video that I found from Board Game Geek Express, where they did a game overview at like FIJ convention or something in 2019, and it didn't really give a whole lot of information on like how to play, really. I mean, there's not much to the game, but you kind of need to know how to speak French. So I'm making this video for anyone out there that is also struggling trying to figure out how this game works. I ended up using Google Translate on the rule book and on the kind of reference pages there. So I just printed off my Google Translate pictures, and it ended up not too bad. Like some phrases I think ended up a little weird. There's some weird wording on some parts, but for the most part you kind of get the idea of it. To set up the game, you will have a 3x3 grid with your 9 towers or rooks, whatever you want to call them, and then each opponent or team gets a box end and they put it behind their grid, kind of like a backboard. The game suggests a distance of 2 of these beside each other. You would have your grid here and then at that side. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to go nice and close so the camera can pick up everything. So this 3x3 grid is your kingdom, and within your kingdom you have 9 characters, and each of these characters has a special ability that when the ball lands in the cup, you have to do whatever ability that character has. It usually involves how you're gonna have to throw the ping pong ball on your next turn. And then you take the castle and you place it on top of your backboard here. And yeah, you just go until one person captures one of those crowns. There is a few exceptions though to when you place these on your box. There's a few characters that you will just leave those in place. There's the king and the princess that go on top of the crowns. You'll do whatever the special ability of the king and the princess is. You'll leave this rook there, so then the next time that the ball goes in, the opponent will have captured the crown and won the game. And then there's also a dragon, which the story there is that it's immortal, so it doesn't die, it just stays there, and then you have to do its special ability. Let's go through each of these characters. I'll just kind of tell you what their abilities are and how the play works. In the rule book, it suggests 9 starting characters that you will use. As you play, you can add in some of these other characters. But we'll go through the first 9. I'll kind of tell you how they all work. So first off, we have the king, and he goes on top of a crown. And so when the ball enters there, I'll take out the ball, show that it was the king that got hit, discard it. You will leave the rook in place with the crown exposed, essentially. But the king's special ability is that you can take 2 of your rooks. So, he knows that the crown is in this one, and then maybe you take this one, and you take it below the table, and you kind of do a little swap, whatever you want to do, and then put them back there. So now your opponent doesn't know if the crown is there or there. I mean, it's not the greatest special ability ever, but That is his special ability, and then you just throw normally. Next is the princess, and she also goes on a crown. And when you land on her, you'll show your opponent that it was the princess, and the rook stays in place. And the princess's special ability, it's called Fire at Will, which each side gets their own ping pong ball, and then whoever's princess it is will shout out Fire at Will, and then you just start chucking balls until one goes in. And then if it goes in on your side, you do whatever, whichever character's special ability is in that one. If it lands on their side, then they do the special ability, and then they'll throw and just back and forth. I mentioned the dragon before. The dragon is just immortal. So basically when the ball enters that space, he wakes up and he's angry, and his special ability is just kind of crappy for you in a way. What he ends up doing is he gets angry, and so on your turn you just throw a normal shot, and if you make it, everything's fine. But if you miss, then he's so angry that he destroys a different tower in your kingdom, or a different rook in your kingdom. And so you choose whichever one, and you don't get to do the special ability of that character. It's just lost. And then we have the Blacksmith here, and his special ability is he makes you another cannonball, or you get another ping pong ball. And that means that you hold 2 ping pong balls in one hand and you throw them at the same time. If you get them both in, you only get to choose one of these to destroy that character. And if you just get one in, that's fine. You just do that one character. And if you miss, nothing bad happens. It's just, you suck. And then we have the ghost. And the ghost is, if it lands in there, you'll put the rook on top. Same with the blacksmith. If it lands on the blacksmith, you put the rook on top. And then you will put the ball in the palm of your hand, and you'll blow on it. Kind of a silly one. That's it for the ghost. Then we have the Cannoneer. If it lands in that one, you'll take it and you throw with, I don't know, not very good at it. You'll throw with the rook itself. Then we have the Seer, or like the fortune teller. And when you land on hers, you'll put the rook on top of your little back piece here. All that one is you point at one of your opponent's rooks, and they have to tell you what's in that rook. Then you just take a normal shot. You have the blind magician or wizard. When that one gets landed in, you have to shoot with your eyes closed. But if you get it in on a blind shot, then you get to replace one of these rooks and put any character that you've previously discarded in that new rook. And then lastly, there is the architect. And when that one gets landed in, instead of putting it on top here, you would discard the architect, and then you can place this on top of any one of these, like that. And then the only way that comes off is when the opponent, knocks it off. And it either has to come completely off, or if it ends up tilted like that, it also gets discarded, and you just put it back on top here. And that is the starting 9. It's kind of a lot right off the bat. When you first start playing, you're going to be looking back at the rule book, or lack thereof, and trying to remember what each one does. But once you start, once you play a few games and you know what each one does, there's really not a whole lot of rules to each character. And then, yeah, after you play a few more games, and there's some additional characters that come into play. Now, first we have the ninja. It's similar to the princess. It's fire at will, except for that you're allowed to block people's shots with the back of your hand. And by doing that, you also kind of want to try and hit your opponent, because now it either ends as soon as a ball lands in a tower, or if you backhand a ball and you hit your opponent, then you also win the fire at will. And then you would choose one of the person's towers, and they would have to destroy the character inside, or if it's the crown, then you win. Then we have the knight with two swords, and that just means that you take two ping pong balls, one in each hand, and you throw them at the same time. And same rules as the blacksmith, basically. And then we have the catapult, and when that one gets landed in, you will take the tower and you'll place it on top of, either nothing or on top of whatever other towers you have built up. And then you put the ball on top and you just flick it off. And that's all that one is. And then you have the archer, and the archer is a pretty cool one. When it goes in there, you'll stack it on top here, and then take a step back and you're trying to make a long distance shot. If you don't make it in, like, no harm, no foul. But if you do make it in, then you get to choose, that one gets destroyed, and you get to choose another tower to get destroyed. And then we have the guard, and when that one gets landed in, instead of putting it on top here, you'll take the tower and you'll just put it inside of another one, and then that one's guarded, so that when your opponent gets it in there, then it gets discarded or gets stacked on top here, and then that one's free to get into again. And yeah, so it just guards it for one attack, basically. The last one that we have is the hunter. So that one gets landed in. You will stack the tower, and then you take this trap and you get to put it into any one of these remaining towers without the opponent looking. And so put it in there, and then when it gets landed in, your opponent has fallen into a trap. This tower would still get destroyed, and you still do whatever character's ability is on the inside. But your opponent gets trapped, and they put this in front of them. So now they can only throw with their non-dominant hand until they can get into another one of your towers. And once they do that, then you can discard this. And that's it. Those are all the characters. You can switch up these characters however you want, except for you need to have the princess and the king in your kingdom every time, because those are the characters that go on top of the crowns. Otherwise, you can switch up whatever characters you want. The rules do give you some suggestions or recommendations on how you can set them up. So yeah, kind of hard to see, but create your team. So there's the ultimate defense, challenges galore, snipers, single target, dragon archer, or you can pick your team like it's recess, put all the characters out in the middle, and then you choose them one at a time. Or you can just pick whichever characters you like the best to be in your kingdom, which makes sense to me. You can kind of strategize on which characters you want, or which ones are the most fun for you to do. That was probably a lot of information quick, so let's just do a little gameplay and you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. You will have this person go first. They throw. There it is. Okay, What do we got here? We've got the guard. So the guard, you can put this inside of another tower, and that will guard it, and that gets discarded. In the rules, it says you can bounce or you can just throw it normal, however you want. I mean, in this case, there's no real room to bounce, so I'm just going to be throwing normal. Hey, it went in. And on this side, what do we got here? Oh, we've got the king. Okay, so the king, this person can now switch this with any one of these other ones. So let's do this one here. And we'll just mess these around under the table. And our opponent doesn't know if we switch them or not now. And back to this guy's turn. Let's try and get rid of that guard. Oh, not quite. So nothing happens then. This player's turn. Hey! What do we got here? Okay. So this is just Blacksmith. So the tower goes on top of your box. And the Blacksmith makes you an extra cannonball. So let's throw these at the same time here. We got one. Let's see. Oh, it's the Architect. Okay. So we can place this on top of one here. Kind of protect it. We'll go like that. And just a normal throw. We've got the princess. So that tower will stay there. Each side gets a ball and you kind of just throw at will. And if that's the end result, then this side gets to go again. And it is now, it's the ghost. So here we go. Missed. And this side, there we go. Oh, it's the dragon. Okay. So the dragon stays in place. And now, if we don't make this shot, then the dragon destroys one of our other towers. So just a normal shot. Oh, made it. Okay, so nothing happens. Nothing bad happens. And on this side, it's the archer. So the archer, I'm going to take a step back and throw a long distance shot here. Missed. So nothing happens there. If I would have got it in, you do the character's abilities there, and then you would get to choose another one as well. But I missed, so nothing happens there. This person's turn, regular shot. Whew. Almost went in my own. If it does go in your own, you still do whatever's inside of there. Like, it's just too bad that happened kind of thing. But luckily it didn't go in, so it's just this person's turn. Miss. Back to this side. Okay, I was trying to get rid of that guard, but what's in here? Oh, the ninja. Okay, so the ninja is the same sort of thing as the princess, where it's fire at will, but if the ball comes over, you can smack it, and if your opponent gets hit with the ball, then that also ends the turn. But when you're just playing by yourself, you can't really do that, so there we go. Okay, so on this side, oh, we've got the knight with two swords. So you take one ball in each hand, you just throw them at the same time. And over on this side, oh, we've got an architect over here as well. Well, on this side, we've got a couple of these crowns exposed, so let's cover that up. And speaking of that, maybe we should get rid of that tower over there. There we go. Okay, so that counts. If it's leaning over like that, it also gets discarded and put on top here, like so. And this guy's turn, might as well do the same thing. There we go, knocked it over. Alright, let's get rid of that guard. There it is. Go for that back corner. Nice. Here we have the Cannoneer. So you put the ball in here and then you throw with that, which is kind of harder than you think. Yeah, missed it. And back to this guy's turn. There we go. Oh, and it's the dragon again. Okay, so don't miss. Oh, close. Okay, so one of these got to get destroyed. So I'm gonna get rid of the Seer. That one just allows me to point at one of these and the other player has to tell me what's inside of it. But because it gets destroyed, I don't get to use that ability. So there's really not a whole lot going on over there. Let's do that one. I got a full stack going on over here. And it is the Blind Magician. Okay, so eyes closed. And hey! We got it in. Okay, so with the Blind Magician, I get to put one of these towers back in whatever one I want. I think I'm gonna do the Architect. I'll put that guy back in there. And as for this guy, let's see. Oh, it was the Princess. Okay. So each side gets a ball. There we go. Okay, so that ends the fire at will from the Princess. We've got the Catapult. Okay, so tower goes on top, ball goes on top, and let's flick this guy off. Oh, that was close. Oh, if it knocks over, that doesn't count. The ball has to stay inside the tower. This guy's turn. So we've got the Architect again. Just cover that guy up. And we've got the Hunter. Okay, so the Hunter gets to put a trap inside of one of these. And then if they land in here again, then they get trapped and they have to play with their non-dominant hand. Okay, so that's out. There it is. And that is the crown. So this side wins. That took a little longer than it normally takes. Usually you're trying to get that crown as fast as possible. But I just wanted to kind of play through most of these characters so you can see how they're done in an actual game. It's a fun game. Obviously, you know, it's a lot easier to make these shots when you're so close. Normally, yeah, you'd be at least double the length of what I'm showing you right now, so a little bit harder to get them in and probably a little easier to be doing the bounce shots, especially if you don't want to be knocking these towers off, which is kind of a negative just because they're so light. If you're really trying to, you know, throw a direct shot in, you can definitely just knock them over, which doesn't count. The ball has to stay inside, like I said, so it's kind of better to do the bounce shots, but a little trickier to be accurate with that. So I do wish that, yeah, they would have made them a little, I don't know what they could have done, honestly. Just make them a little beefier, a little heavier maybe. Then you're probably running up the cost of this game more, so you know, it's understandable. It's not that big of a deal. They're just kind of light, so really easy to just knock over. And that's probably the biggest downside to this game. I would definitely recommend picking this up. especially if you can still get it for $5. I don't really know what I would rate it. I really don't have any games that are like this in my collection, so definitely different. But it is fun. I just think that, yeah, you'd have to be in the right mood to play this type of game, or with the right people as well. Just kind of a silly beer pong-esque game. That's basically all I can, narrow it down to. I really don't know what I would rate this game. Let me know what you guys think of it. Let me know if there's any other games that I've done on my channel that deserve a more in-depth review or gameplay that I haven't done yet. Anything like that, let me know in the comments. And feel free to like this video or subscribe to my channel. That would be awesome. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See ya.